Hey guys and gals, we're going fishing bright and early this morning. We got up this morning about 5:30 and it's it's 11:25 right now. We haven't even made it to the lake, but we're waiting on the sun to come out. It just now popped out, been cloudy all morning. We have an incredibly bad polar cold front coming in. I mean, it's horrible. The high today about 70 miles north of here is 38 degrees. It's about 50 degrees out here right now. It's supposed to get up close to 60 today, and it's supposed to stay that way till about dark. So it's a perfect type spring day to fish, even though it's not spring yet. It's still February and it's not spring. We're gonna go do a little crankbaiting. We've been messing around out here shooting some video in the yard and feeding the deer. We just set the feeder off over there and we got deer everywhere over there. I mean, they are thick. But we're going to be doing some crankbaiting. We're going to be doing some instruction on crankbaiting, telling some things that nobody knows. Stay tuned. Late February, just the last 3 or 4 days of February. You know, early in the year in the South, fishing can be really, really difficult. But once you get to February 15th, that's like flipping a switch as far as bass fishing is concerned. February 15th changes everything. It doesn't matter whether you're here in Oklahoma or in Texas or Missouri or Arkansas, or anywhere in the South. It just absolutely changes everything. Now, you're still going to have really nasty weather and you're going to have some pretty days, but you begin to have less and less bad weather and better good weather. And then, of course, when March comes in with a bunch of wind, it starts really shooting that water temperature up. But the water temperature is actually on the rise right now. Water temperature is on the rise right now. And one of the things that you want to do in that February 15th pass when you get to that deal is try to search out lakes that's got grass in them. It's got some sort of vegetation, because that vegetation, just like it's cooler in the summertime, it's a little warmer in the wintertime, and those bass are going to be in that vegetation. One of the things I like to do is find big grass flats that are leading into spawning areas. In other words, you get an area where you know bass are going to go back into the bays and pockets and spawn. Get in the areas, flats right out in front of those. Flats that have a lot of vegetation, have a lot of coontail moss on them, hydrilla. And then, once I do that, I like to look for the bare spots. Look for places where there's no grass. It might be a 50-yard circle. It might be a couple 100 yards. It might be a lane of an old road bed. It's something that's kept the grass from growing in that one particular spot. The good thing about that is the reason the grass is not growing, it's some sort of a hard bottom. A lot of times it is road bed, some sort of a hard bottom. You can fish a lot of different baits. One of the very best baits to fish is a crankbait. And depending on the depth of water you're in, usually you're fishing a little bit deeper that time of the year. So you're fishing the deep vegetation and you're fishing the bare spots in the deep vegetation. So I like a little, you know, usually a crankbait till getting down maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 feet. Crawfish color. That's one of the key things. Crawfish color early in the year. These fish haven't seen crawdads all year long. When they see a crawdad, first crawdad they've seen in a couple, 2 or 3 months, pow, they're going to go after that baby. Springtime fishing early. That's what it is. Springtime fishing, but way before spring gets here. Hey, like my tackle box. It's an American original tackle box. I assume it, my American original tackle box is made here in the USA. It's full of American original baits, which I know they're made in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Actually, Greenwood, Arkansas. We're going crankbaiting. And this little crankbait I got right here is a 3/8 ounce, a deep smoothie in a Cajun baby pattern. I'm going to be throwing a couple, 2 or 3 colors today, I think, because it's the colors I've been catching them on at Rayburn, and I got a hook in my hand. That hurts. I've been catching them at Rayburn, various places. We're going to tie a Jimmy Houston knot on this little Cajun baby. I'm going to throw a 1/2 ounce and a 3/8. I think really the 3/8 might be a little bit better, because the water temperature, the last time I was out here, the water temperature was 46 and 47 degrees. It may be up to about 48 now. We've actually had a couple of pretty nice days. We got a horrendous cold front coming in, as I talked about. I'm in Jimmy Houston knot on here. Try not to get another hook in my hand. 3, 4. I can feel those hooks. They're sharp. One thing about it with the baits we have nowadays, turn this in my hand. Be very, very, very careful, because the hooks are really, really sharp. Now, a lot of people have got, oh, I do have some fancy cutters there, don't I? See, a lot of people got fancy cutters. I got fancy cutters. I pulled my pocket knife out because I couldn't find these. Somebody found them for me. You got to cut all the lines, Jimmy, not just part of them. Cut 2 of them anyway, didn't I? But we're getting ready to get out there and give these crankbaits a really good, pretty nice cutters right there. Sorry, thought I cut the wrong line. Thought I cut the wrong line. I've only got 12-pound test line on here. It's a little 3/8 ounce bait. It's going to go down pretty deep. We're going to get around some grass and moss and see if we can't catch some fish. The fish do not have crawdads to eat right now. That's the key. They do not have them to eat. So crawfish color baits work really, really good. They can't see my rod. It's camouflage. It's Jimmy Houston camouflage rod. They can see my reel, but I hold it like this and cranking. They can't see it, so they really don't know it's a reel on there. They just think it's a crawdad. Oh, there he is. Boy, he latched onto that thing. Come here, doll baby. Well, there. One good thing about fishing this time of the year, you don't catch a lot of unhealthy fish. You catch mostly pretty decent sized fish too. This is not a giant, but there's nothing wrong with him at all. Pretty nice fish. Come here, baby. Come here, sugar bear. Get in the boat with me. Come here, pal. I got on 12-pound test line. Line size is really, really important in crankbait fishing, you know, because the lighter the line, the deeper your crankbait's going to go. And if you're trying to get down to your maximum depth, you want to use really light line. A lot of people crankbait with 8 and 10-pound test line. Obviously, that's going to get your bait down deeper. There are times when you want to move up to 20 and 25-pound test to keep it shallower, depending on how your grass is. One of the things about early in the year is that your grass is usually not growing too far off the bottom. In other words, it's beat back down from the winter, and it may only be this high or whatever. In other words, it's not very deep. So, I mean, not very shallow. So usually that smaller crankbait that'll get down, and you just kind of have to use a little bit of trial and error with it. And one of the things is changing away with depths and whether you're going to use a square bill or a long bill crankbait. And normally the long bills are going to be a little bit better because early in the year like this you're trying to get a lot of depth. But it's kind of trial and error. If you're getting in grass and picking up a lot of grass ever cast, well then you can make some adjustments with line size. You can make some adjustments with, and you know, I'm not saying you have to, you know, carry a whole bunch of different line out there in the boat with you and wind them on. Just have rods that's rigged up. So you got some rods rigged up with, like I'm fishing with 12 right now, and a light action rod. This is a medium action rod, and so I'm getting this thing down pretty doggone deep. And but if I'm getting a whole lot of grass, getting in a lot of grass where I'm catching my fish, you know, I can just pick up a rod and tie this on 17-pound test, and it's not going to go quite as deeply. I can tie it on a rod that's got 20-pound test, 25-pound test. It's not going to go nearly as deep. That's one of the reasons why professional fishermen carry a lot of fishing rods, is those rods are for different purposes, and a lot of times it's just different line sizes on the same rods because of how they're going to work their lures and maybe where they're going to work their lures. So guys, that's something you can tell your wife when you tell her you need to buy a few more rod and reels. So Jimmy said we needed ones with different line size on it. This color that I'm using is called a Cajun Baby. It's a red crawfish color, and it's really, really, really a dynamite color early in the year, especially. It's a good color all year round, but early in the year, it's really, really a dynamite color. This is exactly the same color that, there's one right there, exactly the same color that I used down at Sam Rayburn in the FLW tournament tour tournament. That acts like a good fish there. Tour tournament to win $9,500 here a while back. Oh, that's a good fish. Come around here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Get out of that trolling motor. Come here. Come here. Oh, I don't know. I think he's barely hooked. I think I might be able to lift him, but I'm not sure. I tried to lift one. Not quite as big. Somebody else caught that fish. Look at that on the front of his mouth there. Oh, you're not as big as I thought. He's wanting to jump. He's gonna jump right when I stick my hand down there. He's just barely hooked. I just didn't want to lift him in. He is a nice fish, you know, over 4 pounds, probably 4.5 pound fish, just barely hooked. There you go, sugar bear. See you later, alligator. Bye, Jimmy. This color is a crawfish pattern, red color. It's called a Cajun baby. There's one. Come here, sugar. Whoa. Whoa, he's pulling. Whoa, he's pulling. Oh, how big are you, guy? I caught him right by the boat. How big is this fish anyway? Well, he's pretty nice. He's not giant. Kind of hooked in the top of the head. You hook him in the top of the head like that. Hook him in the top of the head like that. Yeah, he was not that big. But see here, he had that bait hooked like that. But he's actually hooked. This hook got in him during the fight. He's actually hooked just like a lot of the other ones were today. Listen, this fishing in the grass this time of the year is absolutely the way to fish. You can throw a jig around down in it. You can swim a jig. You can probably fish a jerkbait over the top of it. But the most fun way and the way to really cover a lot of water in a hurry, catch a lot of fish, a lot of big fish, is with that crankbait. Absolutely, no doubt about it. When you catch the pretty days in the springtime, after you patch February 15th, Oklahoma, Texas, all over the south, all the way to the east coast, you can start fishing crankbaits offshore in vegetation if you can find it. Can't find that vegetation? Look for some rocks, look for some wood, look for some structure, but move offshore. Don't have to move far sometimes. I've been 1,000 yards away from the bank a lot today, but sometimes just moving out there 50 or 100 yards will turn the trick for you. Hey, good fishing. We'll see you back here next week. Thank you, guys and gals, for watching us on YouTube. We're going to be doing lots and lots and lots of YouTube stuff this year, having a lot of fun. We want to bring you along on every fishing trip with us. So if you enjoyed this, if you like it, tell your friends. Be sure and hit that subscribe button, and you'll be getting all of the great stuff that we do. And a lot of stuff that ain't so cool.